name is Chris and I'm making this nature video for the Stuart Low Trust. Today I'm in West London at the Gunnersbury Triangle Nature Reserve and I've come to see blue damselflies breeding in their ponds. It's largely described as being managed as wet woodland, but also on the embankment you can see they've got these areas that's like long grass meadow, full of wildflowers and full of wild grasses, but you can see it runs along the district line. But this area, which has got hogweed, red campion, evergreen alkanet, charlock, and it has also had some irises planted in here and some poppies, is just busy with insects. There's hoverflies and bumblebees all feeding on all the flowers. It's lovely. And the site was originally unused allotments, and due to a campaign by the community and the Wildlife Trust, the site wasn't redeveloped but instead was turned into a nature reserve. And so it was planted originally with a selection of trees, so you can see birch trees, some oaks and sycamore, and then there's a lot of self-sown cherry. And then the ground's covered with ivy, there's areas of bramble, some wild roses, but it all makes really good habitat on this small 3-acre site on the side of the tube line. It's beautiful. You can see, as it's nature reserve, the workers and volunteers have put up nest boxes to help support hole nesting birds like blue tits and great tits. And if you see on this one, it's got a metal plate over the hole, and that's to prevent squirrels and woodpeckers, but particularly squirrels, chewing their way in and predating the eggs and chicks. And that song is a wren. You can be a male wren marking out his territory with song. A really loud song for one of the smallest birds. And you can see, as we've seen before at Kew, they've built dead hedges, which are just carefully collected mounds of twigs and branches of various sizes. Some of these have been buried, which should help things like stag beetles that like buried dead wood. But it's all really good habitat boosters, just to increase the range of species that can use the site. So here's a sign describing the wet woodland, or carr. It's sort of willow and alder that happily grow in water, and it's a really scarce habitat, but it's really important for a lot of the wetland species of insects, where, you know, with drainage and loss of ponds, it's becoming an increasingly rare habitat. But what is interesting is on this notice, it explains there are they could describe them as crusty lumps on the willow branches, which they're caused by crown gall, which is an incurable but non-fatal plant disease caused by bacterium which bonds with the tree's DNA. And this bacterium is used in genetic modification, as its DNA bonding ability enables scientists to transfer desirable genes from one plant to another. And isn't that amazing? So let's go see if we can find some crusty galls, crusty lumps. There's one. I'm going to get closer so you can see. I'll chuckle to myself, hopefully I don't fall in, get stuck in the bog, which I think is quite likely. But I think the notice is describing these on the trunk. Well, you can see these lumps that are developed, and from that they get the bacterium that's enabled them to do gene splicing, which really shows the importance of the natural habitat, the natural world, to provide things that will have future benefit to mankind. So let's not trash the world. From the high point of the triangle, you can look down and see one of the ponds. And it's great because it has a boardwalk constructed, which means it's easy to see things in the middle of the pond. And I'm particularly hoping to see blue damselflies. So if we head down, we'll see if we can see any. Right, and already I can see the flashes of blue as damselflies are darting over the pond. Loads of them. So I'll get down and let's see if we can get some closer shots. And so these are mainly blue damselflies, and at this time of year they're breeding. So they've spent the last year in the water as the nymphs, feeding on water fleas and shrimp. And when they're mature, come early summer, they crawl up a plant stem out of the water, shed their skin and become neon blue or greenish adults, the winged adults. And then the males, once they've mated, the males then use claspers at the tip of their tails to grasp the female at the back of the neck, and then will fly around with her as she lays eggs just under the surface of the water on vegetation. And the male stays atop, clasping her to prevent other males mating with her. Here you can see how the female curves her body under the duckweed to lay her eggs under the surface of the water. while the male just sits on top like a periscope to keep off marauding males. And there's one trying to break in. They're fascinating, dragonflies and damselflies, and they're a really ancient family. So they're found in fossils long before the dinosaurs. So they're hundreds and hundreds of millions of years old. And they've been doing this in ponds across the planet every year for all that time. Isn't that just marvellous?